And when the Supreme Court tells the president, you've done something illegal and you need to reverse that action, the president needs to comply. Otherwise, we do live in a dictatorship. Otherwise, we live in a unitary government where Congress and the judiciary literally don't mean shit. Yeah, it seems facilitate his return is not specific enough. Get me a break. Give me a break. Facilitate is not specific enough. I agree with conservatives now. Make English America's national language and force Republicans to learn it so they can read the law and obey it. Increase the literacy rate of my country so that these can read the Constitution.
Today, the breaking news is coming in fast and furious by design. So we're going to do something out of the gates and slow it down, also by design. You heard it here yesterday from one of our guests. This is not a drill. You also heard expert analysis that we have, quote, crossed the Rubicon. Well, what does that mean? Today, the New York Times reporter Adam Liptak puts it this way, quote, the Trump administration's compliance with court orders started with foot dragging, moved to semantic gymnastics, and
I cannot believe how hard the Trump administration is committing to the bit. And it's not a funny bit. The bit is throwing people into the rape and torture prison for no reason. Literally. Provably. And they admit it. And yet here we are.
Has now arrived at the cusp of outright defiance. Where we go from here, now that Donald Trump is acting in defiance of the Supreme Court's unanimous decision that he facilitate the return of a man who was, according to the Trump administration, mistakenly deported to El Salvador. It's a question not just for the Trump administration, but for us, the American people, as well. Moments ago, prior to a court hearing happening right now, where the DOJ is answering for its lack of compliance with this Supreme Court order on that matter.
And their responses have been, yeah, we deported him. What the f of it? Yeah, we deported him because 6 lies in a row in as many seconds. Like, it's literally like lie, and that's why we did it. And that's why we're able to do it. And that's why we're not going to bring the guy back. Like, it's actually insane. The reason why there's these conservatives that I don't feel like they actually have souls is because they can defend shit like this after they said that they weren't going to defend shit like this, after they said that they, principally would never, ever support, deporting someone who's a legal resident, a visa holder. They have a green card. No, we would never consider throwing them out. Instead, what we got was not a bunch of principled conservatives freaking out at overreach of the U.S. government. It was a bunch of conservatives sucking the cock of overreach of the government, of people literally deporting people and depersoning them from the United States with no trial, with no due process, with nothing. They deported them with nothing. No evidence, no processing court, nothing. Grab, bag, deport into the rape and torture prison. And then they're lying to people and making them look like fools for defending it. How's it going, Amaro Love? How's it going, BBB? We're just going through the news while we're waiting for more people to funnel in and hang out. But yeah, I can't believe that they are just committing to the bit. They're committing to the bit so hard. I've never seen someone so obstinate in committing their evil so openly. Usually when someone commits some sort of evil action, usually when someone does something that's really bad and they get caught doing it, they're like, "Ah, I got caught doing a really bad thing. I should stop doing that really bad thing." But you know what these do? Just plow right on through. Just plow right on through, dude. They don't give a about any rules, any procedures. They don't give a about whether it's hurting middle class Americans, whether they're bringing back manufacturing, whether they're increasing the import duties, whether they're not. Nobody knows what's going on. You ready to see Wick get buried? I've heard that it wasn't that bad, but we'll go over it here in a little bit.
The wife of Kilmar Abrego Garcia spoke out to the media. Watch.
We will continue standing strong, and we will never give up on you, Kilmar. Even though my heart is heavy.
And can you imagine you come home from work one day and just to find that your children are now being raised in a house with a single mother, that these children were present at the time that he was deported for no reason, that he was black bagged with no due process and sent thousands of miles away to work in a labor colony, in a penal colony in the jungle of El Salvador. And then you people will defend it, please.
I find hope and strength in those around me. Kilmar needs to come home.
Here, one second. I'm going to keep it playing, but I'm going to run and grab myself a Sprite.
And it's time we see how exact this will be fulfilled. Enough is enough. My family can't be robbed from another day without seeing Kilmar. This administration has already taken so much from my children's, from Kilmar's mother, brother, sisters, and me.
Now, the New York Times is also reporting on other individuals deported by the Trump administration. Quote, the Trump administration sent them to a prison in El Salvador under a wartime act, calling them members of a Venezuelan gang. But a New York Times investigation found little evidence of criminal backgrounds or links to the gang, end quote. We also have new reports on what appears to be on its face, First Amendment activity being punished with deportation.
Conservatives, fatherlessness creates criminals. Also conservatives, proceeds to create fatherlessness. Wait, that's literally the way that it's always been. Are you serious? What do you think, like, all the black people being thrown into jail, why people were so mad about that when they talk about fatherless, like, black kids? It's because the conservatives are professional, home wreckers. Conservatives are professional home wreckers.
Yesterday, a Columbia University student who is a legal permanent resident of the United States was arrested in Vermont during a naturalization interview. That is according to his lawyer. The stories, the reporting, when taken together, represent a departure from that which is
Jesus
legal,
Christ.
according to the reaction all these incidents have received in federal courts. These actions also stretch beyond the political campaign rhetoric, erasing any notion that Trump has a mandate to do these specific things. The real story, though, is what do we do as citizens? What do we do as a free press? And what can we expect from Democrats and Republicans in Congress and politicians at the local and state level at this moment? Make no mistake, the frenzy and the defiance is designed to cause fear and to chill criticism
And see, like, it's designed to cause fear, but it's also what's so ass backward about it is that, like, we can psychoanalyze so much about this administration. We can psychoanalyze so many people in this administration. But, like, there's this unholy marriage of and evil in the White House. Evil because they know that the more shit that they do at one time, the more they can get away with. It's just evil and stupid. It's just stupid and evil. It's crazy.
To silence dissent. It's also where we start today with some of our favorite experts and friends. Immigration attorney and former president of the American Immigration Lawyers Association, Alan Orr, is here. With me at the table, former top prosecutor at the Department of Justice, MSNBC legal analyst Andrew Weitzman is back, and former Democratic Senator, MSNBC political analyst Claire McCaskill is here.
Jon Stewart video. Well, the thing is, I'm pretty sure I'll get dinged. Pretty sure for some reason, Comedy Central is super litigious about that.
Let me start with the lack of a mandate. Let me just remind everyone where the polls are. Right now, Trump's approval rating on immigration is upside down. More people disapprove than approve of what he is doing on the topic of immigration. And when you dig just below the surface, here's where the public is. Support for deporting immigrants who have a job. Only 15% of Americans support doing that. Support for deporting immigrants who are parents of children.
Well, he's able to edit them down. If we're going to watch through it like this, we're not going to be able to do the same thing as him.
Children born in the U.S. 14%. That means 14% of the public thinks that's a good idea. Support for deporting immigrants who came to the United States as children, just 9%. Support for deporting immigrants who are married to a U.S. citizen, 5%.
See, that's the thing. Like the Republicans, their broad policies. You tell me that literally every time Loblaw man, all right? I understand, and it was better times. Unfortunately, we're in the bad timeline right now, and that's something that you're gonna need to come to grips with, okay? I know we can sit here and we can reminisce about times when things were good and we could stay up until 4 a.m. shitting on random people in Discord and, yelling at them for being lolcows. But now we live in the real world where people are being deported for disagreeing with the government. So now things got a little bit real in the real world. You still have double Yas TV's view count, even though I'm like not trying. Well, I guess that makes sense because he doesn't stream anymore, does he? He does. There's someone on Twitter. Everyone told me that it was Yas TV, but it is not Yas TV.
That means 95%, 91%, 86%, and 85% of Americans are opposed to doing all of those things.
That's why they're lying, Nicole. That's why they're
That's
lying.
like 3 hours
saying
ago.
that all of these people are hardened criminals and gang members. They have to, because if they tell the truth...
They have to lie. They have to lie because if they tell the truth, then everyone will see that they were just evil, that they were just evil this entire time. That's why they have to lie to you. They have to lie to you because all of these Republican policies are broadly popular. Like, we want there to be guns, no illegal immigration, yay manufacturing. But when you dig into the numbers on anything individually, like, do you think that someone should be able to buy a handgun and then walk into an elementary school and not get arrested, right? Or if you ask someone, do you want to deport, Yolanda, who's working in the kitchen. Wait, is Yolanda even I've said conservative, a Hispanic name? I say that, but it doesn't really sound like a Hispanic name. But the only Yolandas that I've ever known have been Hispanic. Anyways, it's not random people who are just working in a kitchen somewhere cooking food or, living their life that people care about deporting. They care about the criminals. And I can understand that. But that's not what the Trump administration has done. Not for want of trying. Okay? Not for want of trying, but they tried and they failed to find the criminals. So they're deporting all the poor nobodies who are just here for a better life. And he's sending them to the torture prison. And they're lying to people to get them to seal clap for it. And that's truly monstrous when you can be convinced that you're cheering for good while you're cheering for outright evil.
About what they've done. Frankly, the bottom would fall out even more quickly than it appears to be falling out right now. It is amazing to me when I watch Stephen Miller in the Oval Office.
That guy is Heinrich Himmler 2.0, the direct reincarnation of Heinrich Himmler. Holy shit.
Distort and use the ultimate form of bad faith in characterizing the Supreme Court decision.
Trying to turn a 9-0 decision against the Trump administration, trying to turn their unanimous loss from the Supreme Court and trying to tell everyone that it's a victory, saying that they have no obligation to bring the poor guy home. What is the point? If they had just brought him home, it would have saved so much face. You guys could have said, they realized they made a mistake. They brought him home. No harm, no foul. And while that would have been a bad argument, it would have been a better argument than just absolute fabricated lies to justify him being in the torture prison. It seems facilitate his return is not specific enough. Get me a break. Give me a break. Facilitate is not specific enough. I agree with conservatives now. Make English America's national language and force Republicans to learn it so they can read the law and obey it. Increase the literacy rate of my country so that these can read the Constitution. Because right now we got a bunch of evil people with low IQs and high levels of Hitler particles in their systems. It's beyond parody. You want monstrous? How's this? 100% of illegal immigrants are criminals and subject to deportation. Hey, guess what? This guy wasn't evil, even a illegal immigrant. He wasn't even illegal. He was here under protected status. Definitionally not illegal. Definitionally not illegal. And they're still deporting him. And others like him. Let me see if I can find this. Oh, wait till you guys see this shit. Let me see if I can find this thing. Let's see. Maybe I liked it on Twitter. There's a scoring system. They have a system to score people for whether or not they're part of Tren de Aragua. And fellas, here we are. This Richard Hanania guy, all right, Time for a vape hit? No, actually. I actually quit successfully. How are they selecting people for deportation? Are they even looking at records first? I don't know. But we do know this. How does the government determine someone is a member of Tren de Aragua? It's based on a point system. You need 8 points to get shipped off to El Salvador. 4 points based on tattoos, like a Michael Jordan symbol. 4 points based on clothing, including high-end urban streetwear. Those are the identifiers. These people were identified using tattoos and clothing. All you need is 8 points, and they black bagged them, and they deported them without a trial to El Salvador, to the torture prison that they built for terrorists. There's reports going around right now with estimates that approximately 90% of the people that they sent to the torture prison have no criminal record whatsoever. 90%, fellas. 90%, fellas. That's bad. Believe it or not. How's it going, Ice Beans? How's it going, Testy? Believe it or not, throwing people into jail with no justice, no court date, no lawyers, no judge, no nothing. Just sent to the torture prison. And I'm possibly going to have a conversation in about an hour and a half with a guy who doesn't understand why we think that these people are racist, misanthropic morons who they're like the Joker. They're like the Joker if he got lobotomized first. Just that wants to see the world burn. Listen to this shit, dude. I don't say it's a major factor, it's one of many, but an internal government document made public in court filings indicates how much weight is given to tattoos. The document, called the Alien Enemy Validation Guide, instructs immigration officials to use a point system to identify members of Tren de Aragua. 8 points make someone a validated member of the group. Having tattoos associated with the gang is worth 4 points. Wearing clothing associated with the gang is worth another 4. A second government document indicates that the administration considers a crown tattoo, much like the one worn by soccer star Lionel Messi, and the Jumpman symbol popularized by Michael Jordan. That's this, by the way. Clothing associated with the gang includes high-end urban streetwear. So if you are wearing high-end urban streetwear, have a crown tattoo or a Air Jordan tattoo or anything that could possibly be associated with Tren de Aragua, you are subject without trial to be deported to El Salvador. You're wearing high-end urban streetwear. You mean urban means there's like streetwear. Streetwear is like a common form of fashion. I don't know any of the brands. Well, this is like walking down a runway or some shit like this. But you know, it's streetwear. Urban means black or Hispanic to these classes. Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you're trying to say. Hype Beast. Is Hype Beast a brand? Gotcha. I thought urban meant city. Yes, but when we're talking about these people, again, look at this. A crown tattoo or an Air Jordan tattoo would get you halfway to getting deported from the United States. It's unreal. It is unreal. I guess we have to do what? We have to deport this guy? Yeah.
Welcome back, Senator.
Senator,
How are you feeling, Senator?
Senator, are you confident you can serve your full 6 years?
Thanks, sir.
When was this posted? A year ago.
Welcome back, Senator.
Clearly gang attire, yes. Wait, what?
Integrity of the system. And to everyone here today, I want to thank you, all of you, very much for this award. It means a great deal to me coming from you. And I mean that sincerely. It means a great deal. You're in the front lines every single day. You're helping, you're advocating for your fellow Americans, Americans with disability.
Based?
It's a big deal. We talk about what happened to the physical side of it if we didn't have Social Security. Think of what the psychic calm gives so many people who just don't know where to go, don't know how to traverse what needs to be done, or alone.
Okay.
Last fall,
I thought that would be more interesting, but he's just accepting an award. No way. Why is this in my
Hi,
suggestions?
I'm Trevor Moore. Did you know that it's illegal to say I want to kill the President of the United States of America? It's illegal. It's a federal offense.
Why is that in my recommendeds right now, dude? You want to see more proof Miller has time traveled from the 1950s? Let's see it. Miller cut off a childhood friend for being Mexican, told Mexican classmates to speak English, and showed up to school meetings to attack their fight against racism. And then immediately left. He also reportedly enjoys seeing pictures of families separated at the southern border. Yeah, if they show more than 8 points and symbols in associations attire, then they require a supervisor. But as they pointed out, this is common policy. Is it common policy to deport permanent residents of the United States illegally and then refuse to bring them back no matter what any other single person in the United States, no matter what their level of authority over you demands? Is that common policy? Because the problem is they are using these things. They are using any kind of, oh, well, this is common practice here, this is common practice there. And they will take it and they will go 5 billion miles further with it than you would ever imagine. And that has been every single minute of every single day since January 20th, 2025. They are looking for reasons to deport as many people as possible. They do not care if they are criminals. They do not care if they are permanent residents. All they care about is, at right this moment, is whether or not they are citizens or not. Because they haven't quite, they've been cranking up the heat, but they haven't quite boiled the pot that far yet. We would definitely jump out of the fire or out of the pot of boiling water at that point. So they just need to, start with deporting people who are lawful permanent residents as dictated by a judge, right? And all they have to do now is just hold out and not do anything and defy the Supreme Court with every single iota of their being until they can fully assume the powers that they have been going for this entire time. God powers. Because conservatives have been wanting a king. Conservatives have been wanting a daddy. They've been wanting someone to come through, and, spank mom, make sure the house is in order, their sister every third day just because that's what daddy did. We're just living out the boomer, lifestyle, right? That's what they want their dad to do. They want their dad to ruin everyone's life in the country because it kind of seems masculine. Grimlow was boasting about dating. He'd have the balls. Wait. Grimlow was boasting about dating. He'd have the balls and then didn't. Wait. You've been watching too much step porn? No. These people are disgusting. They are the party of voting for rapists. That's why I bring that up. These are the kinds of people who sat by and watched, their dads beat their mothers and their sisters and said nothing because everything is supposed to stay inside of the family. These people want everybody else to suffer in the country. There is not a single positive thing to say about these freaks. They are not worth trying to convince because they have to want to be convinced, and they don't want to be convinced yet. They have to be shamed. They have to lose everything before they decide they're going to change. Anyways, I don't want to read anything about Stephen Miller right now. 1 second. I do not like conservatives right now, if you guys haven't been able to tell. All right. I guess we're going to watch the Wick thing. And if you have any news type things, you know what? I want to see it. I want to see if this turns on, if that changes anything significantly. Hello. I can move that over there. I can move this over here. I have another screen that I haven't used in a while. Oblivion Remade got leaked. Linkers?
Hey, welcome to the damn show!
1250 to 1320, we can do that. Oh wait, is it the going around the circle at the cabinet meeting? Because that shit was eerie. Can someone get me that clip?
But you know what? He's got a good sense of humor, and he's in pretty good shape. May work for your run-of-the-mill authoritarians, your Lukashenkos, your Maduros. Surely Trump is above that C tier.
Donald Trump is a genius.
Very different in the best possible way.
The president has an athlete's mindset.
Accessible, freewheeling, refreshing.
It is like Christmas every day with President Trump.
He's like that Marvel superhero.
A mythic figure, almost like the various Scandinavian Beowulfs.
Why are they weird about it, man? Why are they weird about it? Has anyone been able to figure that shit out? Why they gotta be weird about it? Why does it make it seem like a fetish thing every single time? Every single time. Here's the cabinet meeting. Oh wait, hold on. This shit's not normal, right? This shit's freaky.
Under your leadership, we are going to revitalize and make shipbuilding and maritime great again.
At the Trump EPA, we're going to make it proud.
The honor and respect we have for each other is a reflection of you and your leadership.
Thanks to your leadership.
You were overwhelmingly elected by the biggest majority.
Well, Mr. President, thank you for your leadership at the border.
Thanks to your fantastic leadership.
So the American worker is grateful. Main Street is grateful for you.
It's so weird. Do conservatives pretend that they're the anti-authoritarian people still? Thank you, oh supreme leader. So true. What the is wrong with these people, dude? Okay. We're going to do this. And remember, hey guys, I am doing this show today as a call-in show. So if there is something that you disagree with me on, you're welcome to call into the stream. doing some research, it actually seems like El Salvador are pointing out the gang members and informing us who they are, and they pick up and verify. They didn't verify. How do you verify if they are not given any due process? We already know what happened in court for this guy that we've been talking about the entire time. They said that he was part of MS-13 because he was wearing Chicago Bulls merch. And is he one of the ones that had a tattoo as well? And then he was loitering outside of a Home Depot. And then someone said that he was part of MS-13 in New York. But he's never been to New York. So Salvadorans deported from the U.S. who are placed directly into the country's prison system are those with pending criminal records in El Salvador. Except we have evidence that there are people that we deported that have no criminal records in any country. This guy that was ordered by the Supreme Court 9-0, Clarence Thomas agreed with the liberals. It is black and white. There is no room for interpretation. The only people who are saying that he was, one, deported not in error, are the people directly around Trump. Not even the White House, mind you, because the White House officially recognizes that they deported him illegally. It's just then all of the rest of them just continue on the airwaves to say that he was part of MS-13, even though they are admitting in their press releases that he shouldn't have been deported. 9-0. The Supreme Court said he needs to be brought home. You have illegally deported someone who was given protected status, therefore is not an illegal immigrant, who has ties to the community, who is working a job, who has children, who are American citizens, who has a wife who is an American citizen. And you must bring him home. There is no gray area. There is no reasonable other interpretation. They have sent at least one. We are aware of at least aware of a couple more. I don't know the exact number, but we're aware of a couple more. Some estimates going up to 90% that none of these people, that up to 90% of the people deported to El Salvador had no criminal record in either the United States or El Salvador. They weren't able to find the actual criminals. So what did they do, Jerry? They weren't able to find the actual criminals. So they started rounding up anyone they could find. And then they started deporting anyone that they could find. Consequences be damned. And now that there are, we say now that there are consequences, now that there are the potential for consequences, because it has been unambiguously, beyond a shadow of a doubt, on any legal or moral basis, shown that it needs to be reversed, that he needs to be brought home immediately. In spite of that, the Trump administration is pretending that they won, that he was a gang member, that the justice system doesn't have the right to tell the executive branch what to do ever. This is a hostile power grab from the presidency away from the judiciary. The judiciary The judicial branch is a check on the executive branch. It's not only a check on the executive branch when, you can, you feel like losing. It's not only a check on the executive branch when, it's happening to the other side. It's a check on the executive branch 100% of the time. And when the judicial branch puts a temporary restraining order on the president needs to comply. And when the Supreme Court tells the president, you've done something illegal and you need to reverse that action, the president needs to comply. Otherwise, we do live in a dictatorship. Otherwise, we live in a unitary government where Congress and the judiciary literally don't mean shit. I have ascended from my ban shame out of the YouTube chat. Wait, did I ban you on YouTube? Why did I do that? Well, they gotta have their photo up, so yep, they grab some random brown folks. Yep. Yes, but the Supreme Court doesn't have the authority on citizens of another country. As a matter of fact, El Salvador, and remove his visas as he's... The Supreme... Do you realize that it was illegal to deport him in the first place? The Supreme Court does have authority on the procedure of deportations. The Supreme Court, of course, the Supreme Court has jurisdiction here. Of course, they have authority here. Unless you're going to say that as long as the president is able to get that person off of American soil fast enough, as long as he's able to get them off of American soil and heading to another country fast enough that they can black bag anybody, there's precedent for this. And I want you to recognize, Jerry Johnson, what you're doing. You're trying to reverse engineer the legal system to justify the president of the United States deporting an innocent man to the most brutal prison in the Western Hemisphere. I want you to recognize that for a second. You are defending the president of the United States overstepping his presidential authority to illegally deport someone that had a protective order from the judicial system in the United States, went against that judicial order, deported him despite having no evidence of any crime, violent or otherwise, to a prison that is notorious for being a torture prison. You think he's the only innocent person deported in the last 5 years? Do you hear yourself right now? Do you think that's an argument? Legitimately? I'm sorry, hold the up. Jerry Johnson, answer the question. Do you think it is an acceptable response to say that we have just taken an innocent family man that is a member of his community, a liked member of his community, to scoop him up illegally deport him to the torture prison? It's called sensationalism? No, this is called the literal bedrock ideals of our country. It is called innocent until proven guilty. It is about treating people with respect, about giving people due process. But now because of people like you, Jerry, weak, feckless, spineless, evil people with no souls who want to justify every dumb, hearted, and evil thing that Donald Trump does, whether it's the tariffs that are raping old people's financial portfolios, whether it's random dudes just living their lives in Maryland getting scooped up by the American SS and sent into concentration camps in the jungle. I don't know what the is wrong with you. Maybe I'm being a little bit sensational right now, but that's because this moment that we're in is sensational. It's crazy. You people have ruined the world with the way that you guys have voted. You have single-handedly destroyed every single thing that was near and dear to America's soul, whether it comes to freedom, with the deportation of random people because they disagree with you politically, which is happening right now to people with visas who came here legally. We've deported less. Someone killed this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say kill. I actually meant to say ban. Someone banned this. Get this evil piece of shit out of my chat. What the is wrong with you? I swear to God, I hope that the Democrats for once in their lives win after Donald Trump, the Republican Party, and gapes their asshole so far that they can't hold a voter inside of the sphincter. After he gapes them that bad, oh my God, when Democrats get in office, I swear to God, if we don't deport every unintelligent Midwesterner, every Rust Belt, doom mouth, rot tooth that just voted this guy in to reduce every single aspect of America down to nil, financially, spiritually, politically, reputationally, militarily, doesn't matter. Every single pillar. These uneducated troglodytes with gray teeth and their mouths smell like rotting meat because they can't afford and honestly don't care to floss their teeth because they don't care about any medical stuff. Don't forget the medical stuff, guys, okay? Don't forget. Shoot a vaccine in your arm. God, don't you dare do that. But blue dye? Chug it down. Industrial dye? Guzzle it, dude. Horse manure? I'm sorry, not manure. Even better. Horse dewormer? Guzzle it down, bro. Shit out your intestines because that's the base patriotic thing to do. That's the base patriotic thing to do. God, can you imagine if the utopia, if we had just let them eat all of the ivermectin, if we had just let them go all the way, we've been putting up bumpers for these so they wouldn't, drink the bleach under the sink. We've been putting child locks on everything so you wouldn't kill yourselves. And now here we are. You've gnawed your way through everything like the numbskull troglodytes you are. You've made yourselves available to every single chemical under the sink, and now you're guzzling it all. It's killing us. What is wrong with you people? It's insane. Anyways, whoo, you have gone crazy. That's true. These people have driven me crazy. Feeling better? No. I feel worse. Significantly. All right. Let me grab myself something to drink really quick. Wow, last time I was here, there were 38 viewers. Well, I've been crashing out a lot since then, so I don't know how many there are now, to be completely frank. I've been watching. I'm going to need to grab myself something to drink here, though. So I'll put on some music for you guys. How's chat feeling? Can we get a temperature check from chat? How are we feeling? Good? Bad? Thumbs up, thumbs down. The Democrats let China take all our jobs. Wow. Thank you for your insight, Professor NPC. I'm sorry. No, don't be sorry. I like crashing out. It's fun. I'm going to pour myself actually, I'm going to pour myself a drink. Why not? Why wouldn't I pour myself a drink? Yeah, they took her jobs. All right. Well, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to pour myself a drink, maybe. Stuck around the Discord reading and then kind of left. Well, I'm sorry that we didn't get to you. fast enough. My apologies. Things have been kind of in flux the past couple of weeks, months, really. All right, let's. I just want to make sure that there's nothing else that I'm like forgetting. Great sport. I tend to be. Although I will say, if you're gonna troll as a conservative right now, it's gonna be really rough because I have a hair trigger. Influx, Trump's gone full dictator. I don't know what influx means, but yes, Trump has gone full dictator. This shit's insane. Here, 1 second. I want to hear what they say about this.
Dave, this is
because what I want to know is when what? Fact checking this debate. You can. I'm almost reluctant to watch it because I haven't paid attention to Russia Ukraine stuff in such a while. I'll try my best, Asimi, but I don't know. But yeah, I mostly have just been paying attention to like domestic stuff, but this stuff is
big escalation.
Anyway, let's watch this.
Explain where this fight stands now and where.
Here's why they're asking this question, right? The Supreme Court has to stand up or else democracy is in peril. That's the title of the video. Why is that the title of the video? In the United States, in the United States, our political system is built around the judicial system and the executive branch. The judicial system says, oh, you are, we're going to decide whether you are guilty or not guilty. We're going to be the neutral arbiters between the citizens of the United States and, the government of the United States for being put in jail. The executive branch is the one that's supposed to be the prosecutor, the one that's supposed to be putting forward the government's evidence against people, right? They're separate. Meaning that if the executive branch does something that's illegal, who tells them to stop? Who tells them that they're wrong? Who gives them consequences when they're wrong? Who tells them, who gives the consequences? Who can make them stop an action if it's the executive branch itself that is supposed to be bringing people into compliance? The Garcia issue turns my stomach. Yeah, it turns my stomach too. And Evan says, when did he become a director? Well, I don't know when he became a director. I don't know if he's ever done any movies. But a dictator? I would say when he started deporting people who disagreed with him politically. The state courts cannot affect the president. The Supreme Court steps in. Oh, Evan, that's crazy. Did you know that the Supreme Court decided 9-0 that Donald Trump illegally deported this guy and that Donald Trump needs to bring him back, and Donald Trump is not complying with the Supreme Court? The Democrats put him in court. Do you recognize he's not a part of MS-13? The only people that are saying that is Donald Trump and his people. Nobody else is saying that. And the Supreme Court told Donald Trump that he was wrong, and he's still not bringing him back. 9-0. That's unequivocal. You can't argue against 9-0. That means it's done. That's a good point, Ice Beans. Someone else called this freak. A freak for me.
Gabe, this is a big escalation. Explain where this fight stands now and where we think it goes from here.
Yeah, it is, Chris, and this is a very big escalation. And good afternoon from a very crowded briefing room where this press briefing is set to get started in just a few moments. As you said, after the administration froze those federal fundings yesterday, this morning, President Trump writing on social media an escalation. Perhaps Harvard should lose its tax-exempt status and be taxed as a political entity. This essentially...
And the fact that this cretin, this monster he's deporting people for being anti-Israel, which I disagree with, but you get to be dissenting. You get to have a dissenting voice in the United States. We have people who are self-censoring economic research for the first time because they're scared that something that they say in their economic research that says that Trump's tariffs will get them deported. There isn't evidence of it at all. ICE officials said that they had evidence, but literally no one has seen it. Yeah, you know what the evidence was? He was wearing Chicago Bulls merchandise and had a tattoo. That's literally it. Literally. Beginning, middle, and ending of it. That's it. That and someone nearby said that he was in a gang. He was part of MS-13 in New York, and he had never been to the state of New York in his life. They had no evidence, and they sent him to the pain prison. They sent him to the torture prison anyways. They had no evidence. The only thing that they had on him wasn't even that he was an illegal immigrant, because he wasn't an illegal immigrant. He had a protective order to remain in the United States, or at least not get deported back to El Salvador, where he was likely to be killed. And the scum that we have in the White House sent him to El Salvador, the place where he's likely to be killed. And it's entirely possible that this guy, the only reason that he hasn't been returned is because he's dead. People are seriously wondering if the guy is even still alive because it's such a bad look for the president. It is so unambiguous in how wrong it is that nobody can understand why he hasn't brought him back. Except for the very likely possibility that the guy is just dead because we sent him there. Because it was more important to have good numbers for how many people have been deported than it was to do the right thing. It's time for someone to start taking responsibility for their side. Someone needs to take accountability for these. Someone needs to rein them the we're not going to have a country. Jerry Johnson, you are you like to watch other people your wife. And I know it. Because you're watching this guy your country. And you're giving me explanations for why it's based or why it's legal. That's how I know that you are because you're watching this happen and you're telling me why it's justified. I don't have a wife? That's the response. Okay. Tell you there. Yeah, no, Rebels just explained what he said. Yeah, got cucked out of marriage. Like, you can really see the... Oh, Jesus. Well, that's not cool. That's not cool. You can really see the politics is just memes to these people. Like they don't have any other politics, but like Well, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like, isn't it kind of epic though? Isn't it kind of epic though that like Trump is like deporting these people though? Like he said he was going to deport them and he's sending them to the pain prison. Isn't that epic? Oh, it's epic. Oh my gosh. It's so epic. Oh, we just sold our souls so that we could send an innocent man into the pain prison. Oh, Daddy, do it again. Just can't stop winning by throwing these innocents in jail. That's literally how Asmongold talks about Trump. Yes, I know. And it's really... I gotta say, like, I don't care if someone's a centrist, but, like, the glaze fest from Asmon is just... It's preposterous. It is just... It's absurd. Like, nobody in human history has had the jaw stamina of Asmongold to suck the cock of so many people in Trump's admin at once and for so long. It's the will of the people, and the fourth time in our history to do it. It's democracy when we want it. Do you realize that you've not given me a single actual justification? You've just given me factoids? I actually don't care either way. No, you very obviously do. You're not so above it that you just don't even have an opinion on it. That's very obvious. I don't care either way. You've spent literally the moment that you came into this chat, you started giving me reasons why it's okay to send people who are innocent to the pain and prison. A father of what, 5? What? What's his name? Abrego or some shit? Innocent man deported to El Salvador. Abrego Garcia. I just want to know what the will of the people has to do with shit. If everyone on Earth voted to you in sequence, would that make it okay to do? Or is it something that the government should stop us from doing? It's in the power of the law, under the power of the presidency. It's justified its nature. No, he wasn't good. He's doing it illegally. How many times do I have to say the exact same thing to get it through your thick skull, Jerry? It's illegal. He is literally not permitted under the Constitution to do this. The Supreme Court has ruled what he is doing is illegal. He does not have the power of this. This isn't within his powers. It is outside of his powers. And he's doing it anyways. You are justifying dictatorship. Literally, definitionally, the definition of dictatorship. I'm a political science student. You are justifying dictatorship. You are not telling me why it's justified under the law. You are telling me why the law doesn't matter and Trump can do whatever he wants. I do care. I like democracy. I love my country. And I hate people like you for sitting there and jerking off after putting the guy who's raping my country in power. Oh, well, nobody could have seen this one coming. Shut the up. Well, that's just what the president is allowed to do. No, he's not. They also said, no, that's not what that means. Are you actually? No, you're actually. No, you're actually. No, you're not. You're worse than that. You're indoctrinated. It's because it would mean that you have a bad thought process to arrive at these positions, but you don't have a thought process because you're literally repeating verbatim what they have said. And everybody disagrees with them. The power supersedes. That's not how powers work. You're literally just speaking nonsense because there is no power that the president has that can overrule the Supreme Court. There is nothing like that in the Constitution. I know this. I've read the Constitution. Last week, I had to read the Constitution again. There's nothing in the Constitution that gives the president any power over the Supreme Court except to expand or contract the court or to nominate people to the court. That is all the president can do when it comes to powers for the Supreme Court. You literally do not even have the language to explain what you're trying to get across here. Because you literally don't even know what words to use to get the concept across so that you can make the argument that smarter people have made for you. All foreign affairs are given to the president. That's just simply not even true. Okay. We're not getting stun locked for the entire time by one who just wants to sit there and justify sending innocent people into concentration camps. Like we literally are they're sending people to literal concentration camps with no due process. That's where we're at right now.
Fundings yesterday. This morning, President Trump writing on social media an escalation. Perhaps Harvard should lose its tax-exempt status and be taxed as a political entity. This essentially...
I think it's fair that Trump doesn't have to return them. Just all the people responsible should be criminally held liable for kidnapping. Yeah, because that's what this was. It was blackbagging a random person. Jerry Johnson, you have 3 minutes to get into Discord or get banned. Those are your options. You can either get into a voice call with me or you can be gone forever. Watch the clip. What clip? Oh my gosh. It's so epic. Oh, we just sold our souls so that we could send an innocent man into the pain prison. Oh, Daddy, do it again. It has been 1 minute, Jerry Johnson. Let's encourage Jerry. I can't believe that there's just a sound effect for that. There's a crazy clip of Trump being told the 9-0 decision against him was for him. Yeah, I know. I think that Trump isn't running the White House. I think that Stephen Miller is running the White House, and he's just trying to get as much done before Trump keels over from eating too much fast food. They're just trying to keep him fat and happy until he dies, so they can get as much evil shit done. I guess Jerry's gone forever. Bye. We'll just go back to watching his president's descent into hell. Yeah, we can talk about it later, Rebel.
Has been arguing that Harvard University has been pushing a political ideology. But as you mentioned, Chris, Harvard University is not backing down and essentially turning this into a battle over free speech and saying that while some of the administration's demand had to do with combating anti-Semitism, in the university's view, most of them were about stifling free speech. Now, of course, this battle has huge implications, not just for Harvard University, but really for institutions of higher learning across the country. And Chris, it is certainly not the only topic that's going to come up in just a few moments when Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt comes into this briefing room. Certainly there'll be questions about that controversial deportation of the Maryland man who was sent to El Salvador, as well as ongoing questions about the future of the administration's tariff policy, which is, of course, being watched by markets across the world. Chris.
Yeah, without a doubt. Gabe Gutierrez, thank you so much for that. We'll keep our eye where you are. Meantime, Eddie, I want to know just some of what the White House had demanded from Harvard. They want a change in governance, access to hiring and admissions data, an end to all DEI programs.
Yeah, by the way, the demands for Harvard were basically like, we don't think that you guys are nice enough to conservatives, so we're going to impose on you guys a conservative tax. You have to have a certain number of conservative employees in order to get federal funding. Literally holding funding behind an ideological roadblock. We're so f***ed, guys. They are literally, without any hyperbole, just flaunting the First Amendment. They're deporting people for dissent. They're deporting people for dissent, guys. And Republicans, they're in my chat giving me justifications. I think at this point Trump has done more communist stuff than any. Well, the MAGA Maoism memes are very funny. I will say that.
Programs, and they want to put multiple departments under external audit. As you well know, other elite universities have faced the same challenge, including where you work, Princeton. So I wonder what your reaction is to Harvard's decision to fight back and the significance of that decision coming from, again, the oldest and richest university in the United States.
I think it's extraordinarily important, Chris, for Harvard to do what it's currently doing. I think it sets the stage for universities and colleges across the country. And remember, these institutions are in some ways a jewel in America's crown, some of the best institutions in the world, for them to defend their basic and basic values, their basic mission. And I think we need to widen the aperture a little bit and ask a different question. What is actually behind this assault? What's behind the attack on America's universities and colleges? It goes back to, in my mind, Chris, to 1951 with William Buckley's book, God and Man at Yale. And he worried about collectivism, Keynesianism, secularism, worried about what liberalism was doing. And that was before black people and women actually made their way to these institutions. I'm not worried about Christopher Rufo. I'm worried about what the Manhattan Institute, what Rehan Salam is trying to do and attack these institutions. So as Harvard pushes back, we need to ask some deeper questions about what's motivating this assault on free speech and American higher education.
Well, Kimberly, we should note this letter from Harvard did not say that it was suing the Trump administration, but it did come from outside legal counsel. So I wonder what the feeling is, and the people you're talking to say, is the belief that this is headed to court, potentially maybe even the Supreme Court?
I think it is all but certainly headed to the Supreme Court, which will have...
How many Supreme Court decisions will Trump have to blatantly not comply with before these freaks on the other side decide to say, hey, maybe I'm not saying he's bad, but maybe Trump needs to pump the brakes on this one. How many? Yeah, it's just the art of the deal, bro. Bro, just watch out. Everybody run. Trump's about to come in here and make a deal. Jesus. Every single thing that these people are touching is turning to shit. This is all assuming they can find lawyers willing to represent them. Yeah, literally, there's so much like blatant corruption. And the fact that conservatives that have made their entire personality rooting out corruption, the fact that people like Rob Noor, I haven't seen a peep about the corruption of extorting law firms, extorting them for pro bono work because they've worked on legal teams against him in the past. That No. You know what? I think that even in the last Trump administration, that would have been too far for them. But it's not too far for them now. They will defend him no matter what.
Have the opportunity that in my opinion, it missed last week in proving to be a guardrail to Donald Trump's autocracy.
Oh yeah, don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube. That's very important. Use your Amazon Primes and shit, you know? I don't know. Okay, bye.